We're back with Matt Steeves, the wine lover who championed Optima, Quailsgate Optima, in the Great Canadian Wine Match and won gold for the best Canadian wine with cheese, and winemaker Tony Stewart, who joins us in BC in the Okanagan Valley at his winery, Quailsgate. So Matt, let's go back to you now. Have you ever been to Quailsgate Winery?
I was fortunate enough to be out there last summer, actually, and it was early July. And it was my first time to the Okanagan, and so we visited several wineries over a period of, I guess, half a week or so. And yeah, I had a delicious brunch out on their patio, gorgeous setup, by far one of the nicest out there, that's for sure, and within Canada. And I had a delicious, it was a Pinot Noir, a reserve from your library. I think it might have been '06, I forget exactly now, but it was absolutely spectacular. And we were, overlooking the vineyard there, Lake Okanagan. There were forest fires down in the state, so there's this smoke sort of coming in up the valley, and it was just breathtaking. So that was my first experience. I hope to get out there this year as well, but it's a beautiful setup.
That's terrific. And Tony, what's the name of your winery restaurant?
The restaurant's called Old Vines Restaurant and Patio here at Quailsgate. Right,
okay. And I imagine there's a lot of wine and food pairing that happens at the restaurant, seasonal menus, that sort of thing?
Yeah, the vision with the restaurant was always to try and incorporate wherever possible the Canadian elements. So we try to get first items from the Okanagan Valley and then British Columbia, and then we go out to Canada. So there, we have cheeses from Quebec that are brought in regularly. We have unique items that you can't get anywhere else on the menu. But local food and pairings are our main focus to try and build that culinary experience. And we're catering to culinary tourists here at Quailsgate.
Wow. Okay, and Tony, if you had some tips or advice for Matt in terms of when he visits your winery next, and just the Okanagan in general, what would you suggest that he do?
Well, Matt and I are going to be doing a flight of Optimas dating back to 1989 when he gets here.
Wow. Way to go.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Actually, I'll have to check back and see. I might actually still have some 1990 Optima. Actually, it's interesting. We won the first big medal with that wine, so it's always held a special spot in our hearts.
That was what I was going to ask too, Tony. Is how long do you think Optima can age? I imagine it varies by vintage, but we've got the 2011 out now. What do you think is the life on this one?
Well, one of the things that we're getting more and more time to spend at looking at is older wines and seeing how they're developing. And we're quite surprised. I did a tasting recently with a group of individuals who were, steadfast European buyers, and they couldn't believe that our 95 Riesling had held up so well. They said, "That's outstanding. I'd pay $100 a bottle for that." The Optima, to age that wine properly, I would say no less than 5 years. And ideally, probably 10 years is kind of when you're going to see that window. But, Matt, when you get here, and Natalie, if you get here as well, we'd be happy to pull a cork on an older vintage from the 90s, and we'll see for ourselves exactly how they're doing.
Marvelous. Matt, back to you. What questions might you have for Tony on anything? It doesn't have to be related to Optima.
Sure. Well, I just regarding the Optima, and like you said, the botrytis, that's something that most winemakers aren't really excited to see, especially on a red grape. And yet you guys do it so well, and you have that, but of course you control it elsewhere. Why aren't more wineries taking advantage of this? Is it due to the labor? The high cost? What are some of the barriers that other winemakers may experience or prohibit them from doing what you're doing so well?
I think that the area of control in the vineyard is a concern, as I said, to most viticulturalists. So most of the time, they're not really wanting to encourage or see any development in their vineyards because it does lead to other problems.
Right.
Where we have the Optima planted, it's close to a block of Riesling, And because Riesling's such a late ripener, we're kind of protected in that sense. So we keep a pretty close eye on it. But we're establishing about 40% botrytis in the block of Optima when we bring it in. So that is a high threshold. To answer your question about why I don't think more people are doing it, aside from the obvious control and cleanliness in the vineyard, is I believe most people are working with Rieslings for the dessert wine program, and it's when you get to late harvest Riesling, you're almost into ice wine, because it is such it's the last variety that we're bringing in for the whites. So I think that might have another factor in it. But we continue to enjoy a little bit of a niche with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed you do. Okay, well, this is terrific. To wrap up our conversation, let's come full circle. What are your reflections or thoughts on the Great Canadian Wine Match that was held? I'm sure you had a lot of fun winning, but what do you think about People's Choice Awards for wine? They're very different from those judged by traditional competitions, judged by experts. Matt, let's go to you first. What are your thoughts on the competition?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Natalie, for a successful wine competition, the inaugural. I think it was great that you allowed basically anyone to enter any wine. Price wasn't a factor, and so I sort of thought most people would consider putting in a very expensive wine, because the price was not a consideration. But what we saw was people saying, you know what, this is my favorite wine. I buy this wine, I drink it, I enjoy it, my friends enjoy it. And that's what they did. They got their friends to vote. They got other wine lovers to vote. Myself, as a certified sommelier, I've tried thousands of wines now, and I was proud to have nominated this wine because I think it's unique and it's amazing. It stands up against those world-class Bordeaux Sauternes wines. I've got cases in my cellar of various Sauternes, and this really does stand up right alongside them. And it's a great product. I think Canada can be proud that we're making such terrific dessert wines and botrytis affected wines in that category as well.
Absolutely, Matt, and you are a fabulous champion for this wine. I was really impressed with your enthusiasm and your ability to rally so many people around this wine. Tony, from a winemaker's perspective, this isn't a technical competition. This is about the wines that people love. Those aren't mutually exclusive, great wine and much loved wine. But from your perspective, is there a place for People's Choice Awards when it comes to wine?
Absolutely. We've always reviewed the People's Choice Awards to see where consumer trends are, and I think too often I've been quite critical of the fact that we've been focused only on wine, and it has to be a combination of wine and food, because really this is what we're all about. Yes, we have to analyze wines individually. We do have to do tastings in that. But by bringing consumers together on wine and food, you've done a marvelous job of building awareness. And it's about the Canadian experience. Can we create a culinary position in Canada where people around the world go, holy smokes, actually the Canadians are doing something. We're renowned for great quality as a country. So let's add to that we can make great food and great wines with it. And events like this really, and competitions like this really help promote that.
Terrific. Well, thank you both for joining me today. I raise more than a glass, I raise a bottle to you both.
Well, thank you.
I think we're off to enjoy some of this. It's a little early right now, but I'm looking forward to trying this later today with some blue cheeses, Matt. And thank you, Tony, for producing it, and to you both for celebrating Canadian wine and food culture. Cheers.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Cheers. I'm enjoying mine very soon as well.
Great.
Cheers.